being able to see the balance in the world first requires seeing the balance in yourself. Are you trying too hard or not enough? Are you doing work for others or for yourself? Are you exercising strength or exercising flexibility, rush or calm, and the list goes on indefinitely? One justifies and creates the other, hence why we cannot regard a world of wrong as wrong, but merely part of the necessary process towards right. Hence we can't get rid of wrong, but we can acknowledge its time and place so to create more of right. And with every right will come wrongs, life in a perpetual dance of polar energies, but nonetheless a world of humans who are able to work with them to achieve balance shall they see the greater picture, that being all the energies or polarities at work. This is best described in an ancient book known as the Taoiism. It is not known by many people, yet it is popular enough to be the second most translated text in history after the Bible, while also being easy for anyone to read despite existing before the Bible. Its truths are simple, yet profound, not controversial or in need of much interpretation other than mere reflection and application into our own lives. As we deal with balances of our own, we may read such a text or merely think about the balances in our life in order to achieve a greater harmony in our life. This means one can follow the Tao without even knowing the word Tao. It's a natural religion, which is why there is no converts. As it accepts difference and change, it can start no war and it can certainly support no government. Well, how is it that an ancient text can contradict what most people support, that being a government? Well, most people would not support war, that of which creates these governments. The very concept of a government is man having a higher authority over his fellow man and dictating his own life without consent. Government, in short, is the denial of difference, or better yet, the denial of the embrace of nature, since it is natural law for change and difference. Furthermore, teachings of Taoism tell us to let life be, to not overstep or try to control nature, as nature will govern itself if we allow it. Certainly, we humans have the ability to own ourselves and practice self-ownership, just as slaves did not have to be slaves, with a little empowerment that starts in the mind knowing that they can be free. It's only the knowledge of this certainty and simplicity that we are not told in order to keep us in complex systems of control, talking about man-made politics and titles, positions, and authorities that nature has no doing with. It's all about forcing people to be good or even just act due to the mere authority of some human being, with every law backed by violence, every order follower ignoring their own conscience. As if ignoring nature was one, ignoring our own nature is just the same. For if every individual did use their conscience and exercised it so to educate others, there'd be no need for law or authority, yet there'd still be rules and leaders. Yet the mind closed to this possibility will refuse to see it. And since it is this very fact of freedom which allows polarities to function and come to a balance, it is not that we should embrace slavery since it is the opposite condition. Rather, again, we learn from it. We have no choice but to live with it in order to truly do so, and to endure and to ultimately escape it stronger than ever. Nature never gives us a challenge we cannot solve, and every problem man creates, he can equally abolish or solve. The Tao seems contradictory to the limited mind, yet harmonizing to the open mind. Yet it provides a path or way for our lives, because we see all the many paths. We can then choose where to go, and then we may know what balances exist therein. For within a free world there will still be the need for balance, even though the imbalance of government would have left the equation. because government was born of freedom, slavery was born of freedom, but ultimately all wrong is born of the lack of good. As we sunk into the depths of wrong, we had tyranny, democide, and all forms of evil. But as we sink into the depths of good, we have innovation, possibility, morality, love, abundance, and all forms of good. Each has their comforts and benefits, but understanding the problems with the free world helps us see that it is not an extreme good. It is merely embracing the natural authority of the world, the government beyond all man-made government. If you see it as a balance between yourself and following the commands of authority, ask yourself if you'd balance yourself touching a poison and not, because that of which is not of nature cannot be balanced but abolished. The balance of extreme ignorance will tell you that following the orders of some authority leads to catastrophe. That is, unless you know you are doing right. In which case, you are following your conscience instead, and you are not ignorant. And to say that following this knowledge is not simplicity, or it isn't Taoist non-action, is also ignorance of the fact that conscience we are born with in our nature, and it has the ability to say no, the very ability to have non-action. So while moral standards may go against simplicity when they get extreme, there is a morality that everyone generally follows, and this is rather simplistic. A life of harmony and balance is simplistic because it's easy. We have mastered the energies and brought them together where they should be, like a child raised up with a mother and father union. How much easier may their life be compared to the individual who does not have this essential or natural balance? Indeed, to assume balance as natural is the Tao, whereas that which we aren't to balance goes against the Tao, like holding on to an extreme itself and claiming we can balance it. This is holding on to a tyrannical or even limited government as because the conscience is still overruled by the concept of authority or statism. If Taoists or everyday people want to really create a better world, perhaps they should consider these points as I'm merely part of the balance and bringing to light what is mostly in the dark. I'm doing my part, but what about you? And like I said, the action involved here is rather one of non-action, what not to do as opposed to what to do. Everybody's saying you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Maybe that's part of the problem, is saying that we have to do this or do so much of everything. Maybe we have to learn to sit back, reflect, think about what we do before we do, and act when necessary. And this is all described in detail in my presentation on Taoism, which you can totally check out. People are like, man, this should be an academic course. It's 8 hours long in total, but I mean, you can fly through it because of all the powerful information that's in it. And it's totally free. You can check it out. Go to theliberator.us/Tao, theliberator.us/Tao, and you'll see it there. It's also on nita.one/Tao. And you'll see my 5-part series on this topic where I go into detail and even share ancient Taoists in history who talk about exactly what I'm talking about, which is this dangerous belief system called statism, that there's authority in other human beings. This is what's taking humanity down. And for an ancient philosophy to know this thousands of years in advance, before there was any such thing as voluntarist or the word statism or the Stanley Milgram psychology experiment and all these things that people still mostly don't know about, Taoism most people didn't know about even back then, it's still yet profound because these ideas, all of them, are growing rapidly, especially in the modern day, with technology which comes to our benefit. The abolitionists in the 1800s used the printing press to their advantage, and that's why they were able to end slavery. There were people who tried before, but they couldn't reach the masses. And they tried building towns back then, but they couldn't reach the masses to show them their great projects. I mean, we can only wonder what great feats and what great challenges and achievements were done back then that were not documented, or we just lost the evidence for. I mean, we think that we've done it all in the modern day. but we don't actually know because we didn't live back then. And so there's great value in all this knowledge, and I want to share that with you. We have a bunch of free resources. Everything that I do is totally for free, and to educate the world to get the freedom that people actually desire. Everybody desires freedom in some form. If there's a disease taking over their body, they want to be free from disease. If their mind feels like they're trapped and there's too many things on their mind and they feel like they're rushing, their mind isn't free. Okay, we don't have to just apply it in terms of politics or government. We can apply it in any field of life. Freedom is like this ultimate decider for happiness for a lot of people, and creativity and fun. And without freedom, you can't have those things. So it's such a beautiful thing to realize that. But a lot of people don't also connect it to morality or spirituality. So I want to provide you with those resources. Go to theliberator.us. That's theliberator.us. And you'll see there's a page, theliberator.us/resources. So /resources. You'll get that after you sign up for the newsletter, but that's just a little tidbit if you don't want to sign up for the newsletter. And you'll see there's a bunch of helpful resources. But in general, we have a bunch of videos, we have series, we have books, and it's all free on there. So be sure to check it out, because I guarantee you most people are not going to tell you whether it's mainstream or independent. At least not yet. Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey Endralot, The Liberator 2 News.